And I think student loans have gotten really blown out of proportion in terms of people's overuse of them, that it's now really impacting this generation that wants to then enter society, go to work, and then buy a home.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, well, it starts off with a couple things. A, it's free money.
We
right?
like that.
Here's a lot of money.
Sounds good.
And just pay us in the future, you know, and then Obama will tell you, well, if you do this or you do that, you don't really have to pay us, but just try, you know. So it's a connotation for debt that is unlike any other type of debt that we've ever seen. But it also has the connotation of being, quote unquote, good debt. Whereas most of these kids will see now, and
well,
I'm sure
because
you can
it's
tell
for
them,
my education,
it's
Logan.
for your education,
That's
sure.
good.
And the rates are higher than any mortgage. I'm sure you're quoting anybody.
That's
any
right.
used car you can go buy off Independence or anything. I mean, so to me, good debt is the one with the lowest rate. And
Right.
for some reason, student loan debt has always just been considered good debt.
Let's jump in and talk about kind of how that the student loan guidelines have impacted somebody's ability to buy a house, meaning getting their mortgage.
Yeah, because that
So,
all just recently, I think, they
major
just switched
changes.
it. Okay, yeah.
So, Logan, up until recently on an FHA loan, which is typically a pretty common first-time loan program that a
Yeah.
buyer, they're going to put 3.5% down, et cetera. Up until recently, the customer could apply for a loan, and if we could show that their loan would be deferred for 12 months or more, we didn't have to count any payment against them. And that's kind of scary, right? So
Yeah.
5 years down the road, they're out of school. Now the payments start to go up every year on that student loan debt as they make more and more money. Now they might not be able to afford that same home that they afforded when they didn't have a payment, when it was deferred, right?
Right.
So the new guideline under the FHA guides basically state that we have to either do 1% of the balance, which think about 1% of the balance on
Yeah.
$140,000 loan. That's a $1,400 payment.
Right.
Okay. Or in some cases, the government will allow what they call an income-based repayment model. The government recognizes there's no way they're going to be able to make that big fat payment. So they'll reduce that payment down to a more sizable payment, which can still help them get into a home, but they're paying something. It's not nothing anymore, which I think is really, really important. The conventional loan guidelines are similar in that if you're deferred, we're still going to count 1% of the balance. If you're out of deferment, then we'll use the payment that the credit report publishes or 1%, whichever is greater. So that conventional loan for that first-time buyer putting 3 or 5% down, sometimes we have to move them into an FHA loan because they don't qualify
Because
for
1% would assume you're paying it off in like 8.5 years, when most of these people are doing, I think, 20 year.
20, exactly.
Yeah, 15, 20, some are even going to 25-year repayments. Okay, so that has a pretty big impact now to what they can afford on a monthly basis.